I'm Alice. I've spoken to a lot of you on the phone and want to have some parent testimonials. Usually we invite parents who are part of our community to help host these events, and they're here and they get to share their perspective and you get to quiz them. And so we ask them to do a few recordings, and I'll share those throughout the evening. And we'll do, of course, a virtual tour.
I'm Kimberly, a mama to twins in the Dogwood classroom at Montessori East. I'm here today to share our perspective on why we chose Montessori East for our girls. The girls stayed home for the first 3 years of their life, but we were keen to join a Montessori format school to start their formal education journey because we'd seen the benefits of the schools in family members and also in the children of friends. We visited 4 schools in Davidson County that adopted Montessori format and ultimately decided on Montessori East for a few reasons. One, the administrators were open and forthright. The girls were immediately drawn to the guides and also for the sense of community. We live in East Nashville. Joining Montessori East meant the school would be close to home. We're able to walk to campus. We're able to participate in the activities on campus more easily. We've made friends who are also neighbors. Girls have thrived in having friends of their own other than each other. If you have questions about the school or our personal experience, please feel free to reach out. Take good care. Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Karen, and this is my husband, Angie, and we have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old at Montessori East currently. And the reason that we initially chose Montessori East was because we were moving here from out of state, and my son actually started his primary year at a different Montessori school, and his teacher had recommended that we look for another Montessori school that followed their same curriculum, which was following the Association of Montessori International. And there's actually very few in Tennessee that follow that method, and so we were lucky enough to find Montessori East that did. But once we had our kids start going there, there's just so much more that we grew to appreciate and love about the school. I think the outdoor environment is incredible. I love that they have woods out there behind the school. I love that the kids get to play outside, rain or shine, every day. I love that in the span of one day, our son can hunt for worms in the woods outside. He can pretend to build a campfire with his friends using sticks and branches that he found outside. That he can work on his math skills, and that he can learn flower arranging all in one day. And I know this for a fact because I've gotten pictures from his teacher showing all those things that he did in one day. So I think that's just an incredible way for our kids to learn just through play and through using different materials in nature and just getting to choose the things that interest them to do.
I love that the school is in our neighborhood, and we get to walk to school with the kids every day, and then we'll run into a lot of the classmates as we are either getting to school or leaving school. And I also love how responsive, attentive, and creative the staff and the teachers are, making the environment at Montessori East a creative and dynamic place for our kids to learn and flourish and develop really good relationships with them and the other students.
So yeah, we just really think it's a really sweet community, and we're really grateful that we found Montessori East, and hope you guys like it too.
All right, you all saw that. Now we're going to show you another video that is actually our little video tour. And it is not professionally shot because, as you might imagine, we came back to school and did all the COVID prep and the switch to virtual guest on campus all in the same 10-day time period. And so we are grateful again for your patience. Brooks is going to narrate it as it's shown. There may be a slight lag. Just again, patience. You're going to get to see all the things that you just heard parents speak about, which I hope is a joy for you. And we'll do that now.
Can you guys hear me? Give me a thumbs up. Great. Thank you, Sophie. So we all gathered together. That picture was of us all singing our school song last year together, very close to before COVID started, actually. So this is little clips of the toddler environment. This is a little bit of our toddler pages from our yearbook. Children learning how to take care of themselves, how to take care of their friends with fine motor movements, simple tools designed for their body size. Everything is accessible. Everything is made of natural materials. So you see a lot of wood and fibers, not a lot of plastic. This is the bathroom. It's really organized and spacious. Toddlers spend a great deal of time in the bathroom learning how to take care of their body. Materials in a Montessori environment are usually placed in trays and baskets, and they go to the same place on the shelf every day so the children can rely on the order that the environment offers. We do a lot of food preparation, not during the time of COVID, but before that, we did a lot of food prep. The children sit together and eat lunch. They have direct egress to their outside spaces. A little bit more from our toddler pages in our yearbook. That's my little girl with the curly hair doing some flower cleaning. These are some pictures of our 3 to 6 environment, which includes kindergarten. That's a piano in the dogwood classroom. These are some reading materials on the shelves. As you can see, even things like grammar are presented in really beautiful containers so that they draw the interest of the child. Lots of interesting artwork that's designed to help children develop their handwriting skills. This is math materials, going from simple to complex. We're doing some multicultural learning. This is the Magnolia classroom, kind of a bird's eye view. Montessori classrooms are very clean, they're very orderly, and they're very attractive. They're also very calm and neutral spaces. The children bring the joy and the color, and the materials are very calming and soothing. We're turning now into Magnolia's kitchen. This is our sunflower classroom. This is the practical life area. As you can see, everything is child size, everything is color coded, and everything is presented to a way that would entice the child and entice the eye. Direct egress to the outdoors. This is our all-day classroom, so the children stay a little bit longer in this classroom. These are for parents that work full-time. We have some more writing materials here. We have a farm to the left, which is used for grammar. Our sensorial area, our little library. Children sitting in groups. This was children getting ready for the eclipse. This is Alice's son when he was a teeny tiny, stringing a necklace. Some pictures of our elementary classroom. We have some pretty high complex math materials here. Children keep their materials organized in elementary. We've got some fractions, some geometry. As you can see, the materials are still wooden and metal, natural fibers. Lots of independence, lots of developing of relationships. This child is 11 and the child on the left was only 6, yet they're forming a friendship and teaching each other. Children work on independent curriculum, so everybody is doing their own thing. Sometimes they're working in groups, sometimes they're reading independently, like you see George doing there. See some flags in the background to highlight our multicultural education. So this is a small group collaborative working on some math together. The lady to the right was an intern from high school. Some more of our earth sciences here, learning about volcanoes, learning about the axis of the sun. Let's see, weather, different, oh, this is a peace corner, little Zen garden area. More math, doing some fraction work here. This is an example of going out. So in our elementary classroom, children go out about every couple of weeks or so. Sometimes it's the whole group, sometimes it's just a few children at a time. So getting out into the community is really an important part of Montessori East. And this is our playground. This is what it looked like at the beginning of the school year this year. As you can see, for COVID purposes, we set up different tents and shelters so that each classroom had a little shelter outside. We do a huge amount of gardening at Montessori East. It's really, really important to our school culture. We spend a great deal of time outside. So as you can see, you see our beautiful vegetable garden, a little apple tree that we planted last year. This is our, some of this equipment is brand new as of last year. We had a group of parents get together to build it. This is our beautiful A-frame. Alice walked underneath with the camera so you can experience like what it's like for the child. A little bit more of our playground. That's part of the toddler space, and these are the woods. The children get to go into the woods every day. Elementary starts their day in the woods every day, and this is where a lot of incredible playing happens. Children are creative. They do a lot of pretend play. They build. They lay in hammocks. It's a really dynamic space to grow and learn. We'll see a little bit more images of our woods, and then this will pretty much wrap up the video. If any of this is sparking any questions, feel free to write them down in the chat. This was a mural that was painted as part of our first annual Spring Fling, which is a big carnival that we have in the spring. So I have a couple of parents painting. And there we go. Thank you.
Yeah, so that is the virtual tour. You're getting the benefit that no other January open house attendee in the history of our school has gotten, which is seeing a green playground.
Yes, it's true. Usually it's raining and dark for this event.
Usually it's a very, very dark event. So you got to see that. It made my day brighter.
Hi, I'm Stacy. I'm one of the leads in Rosebud, and I have been here. This will be my second year. The first year, I kind of floated around different classrooms in Dogwood and Rosebud, and now I'm the lead with Alicia and in Rosebud.
Hi, I'm Alicia. I am the lead with Stacy. I've been at Montessori East for 5 years. I absolutely love being at Montessori East. So now I'm going to tell you a little bit about our schedule. The kids arrive at 8 o'clock, between 8 and 8:30. From 8:30 to around 10:30, we have our work cycle. And in the work cycle, we also have snack and toileting. What Stacy and I decided to do this year was have a fluid class, which means that the kids have the option to work inside and outside, which has proven to be lovely. Our children who have more language walk up to us and say, we have too much energy in our body. So then they will take their work and go outside. Or if they don't want to work, they can play. And we really enjoy having that option for the kids. It has made the environment even more peaceful, which is wonderful. So from that point, like after 10:30, if they don't want to do any more work, they don't have to. We don't make them. They play outside. And then around, did I say snack? We have snack. Yes, I did. Sorry about that. We have snack, and then there's more playing, and of course more pottying because they're toddlers. And and then
So lunchtime is probably
we have lunch. Yeah,
right.
we have lunch at noon. But now, if they show a little hungry, we do offer a little snack for them if they need it. And then we have lunch. So at lunch, it's a lovely little lunchtime. They sing a little song while they're waiting for their friends and pottying, washing hands, or what have you. And after lunch, we go to nap. We create a lovely, peaceful, quiet environment for nap. Their cots are laid out for them. There's a lovely diffuser going. There's a sound machine going. The temperature is just right, conducive for nap. So yeah, it's just a sweet, lovely environment. They nap from 12:30 to 2:30. Backs are pat. Just all their needs are absolutely met. Our friends that are staying for all day, they, with the help of Makisha, our all-day assistant, helps them put their shoes on, and then take them outside if they choose to go outside, or they can stay inside and choose to work if they want to continue to work. Miss Stacy at 3 o'clock or 5 to 3 takes our friends up who are going to leave for the day. Our friends are really sweet about saying goodbye, see you tomorrow. There's hugs or fist bumps or what have you. And then our all-day friends, they just continue to stay with Miss Makisha and do an activity with her, or take Miss Makisha takes them to the woods, and they really love their woods time in the afternoon with Miss Makisha. So that's our day.
Thank you so much, Alicia and Stacy. They are a really sweet team. We love them both, and they love their children in their classroom so much. So we're going to move to Dogwood next. And Ashley, if you just would briefly introduce yourself, and then I'm going to have Camille go next.
Hi, I'm Ashley. I am the assistant in the Dogwood community, and I'm also a parent of 3 children that attend here. One is actually with me in Dogwood, and 2 are in the elementary program. And I've been here now for, I believe it's 3 years. 3? Yes. Okay. For 3 years.
Hi, I'm Camille, and I am the lead guide in Dogwood, and this is my 5th year here. And I am going to tell you a little bit about our record-keeping system. We have an online record-keeping system called Transparent Classroom, and we use that to share photos with you of your children, and we also enter in all of the lessons that they're getting. And for most of the lessons, you'll get a notification when we do that, and then you can read a bit more about what the lessons are. It's very handy. It also generates our progress reports and conference reports. And that's about it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And then we'll move on to, let's see, Billy. Introduce yourself and then tell a little bit about the daily schedule for primary. Since it's
Gotcha. Hi, my name is Billy. I am the lead guide in Sunflower, which is our all-day primary class. Our schedule is pretty much the same as the normal school day class, except for it just runs a little longer. So about from 8:30 until 11 is normally when we do our first work cycle. And then 11, we'll do a circle time, sing songs, have discussions, things like that. Go straight from there to lunch. In between there is a snack time. We have it loosely based on time. We kind of feel out when friends are hungry, they're welcome to have a snack. And pre-COVID times and hopefully in post-COVID times, the children actually are responsible for putting together the snacks, preparing it, serving it, setting out the plates and cups and all of that. So we look forward to getting back to that. But for now, children bring their own snacks. And after lunch, we go outside. Around 1 o'clock, our nappers will go down, our youngest, that's our 3-year-olds, who will nap until about 3 o'clock. And we, depending on weather, we'll spend hours outside in the afternoon. The kids love it. We take turns changing where we're at on the field, on the mulch, in the woods, and just make sure everybody has enough time in all the areas. I will often take some of our older friends, our 5-year-old friends or our kindergarten friends back inside for a short work cycle or maybe some more complex work where it's a little quieter and they can focus on it for just a short burst and then rejoin our friends outside. 3:30 is when a typical school day ends. So after that, we will kind of play. We'll either stay on the field. A lot of times the children will make the choice if we stay outside or if we go back in and play with things like blocks, Legos, magnet tiles, things that are a little bit just fun things that we can play with to kind of break up the day a little bit because we are
Toy
in
time.
there for a long day. Yeah, toy time.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Her team is not with her because they are with the children who are here till 5:30.
Yes.
So, but Billy, thank you so much. And then also I want to have Victoria introduce herself. She's one of our leads. We didn't assign her a topic, but just how long you've been here and what tiny bit of your background, and then we'll do Magnolia.
Okay, hi, I'm Victoria, the elementary lead, and I just came to this school in August, so I'm new to the Montessori East culture, but it's been a really good fit, and I've been really happy with everything I've experienced at this new school. I've been working in Asian Montessori schools for the past couple of years in Bangkok and Hong Kong, and before that I was doing a lot of Montessori in California, and before that graduate school and traditional models. So I have a lot to compare and a lot of interesting different experiences, and I'm really happy I've ended up here. So
That's great. And Sophie just put in the chat the link to our faculty web page on our website, and you can read more about like everybody's history and personal interests and the names of their pets occasionally, things like that. So Margaret, would you take a moment to introduce yourself and then Sophie?
Yes, hi. I'm Margaret and I'm Magnolia's assistant guide. My cat Moose would really like to be a part of this, so I'm just gonna let her say hi. She's desperate to be involved. Yeah, I've been here 2 years. This is my second year in Montessori East.
I'm Sophie. I'm the lead guide in Magnolia class. I previously worked at Montessori East as an assistant and also a sub and then a long-term sub, and now I'm back as a lead guide. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the areas of the primary classroom. So this doesn't apply completely to toddler and elementary, but for primary, there's 4 main areas of the classroom. Practical life, which would include things, sort of daily activities like flower arranging, sweeping, table washing, things like that. We also have sensorial work, which is sort of focused on children being able to utilize different senses to explore the world. So that would include things like the sound cylinders, which is matching different volumes and pitches using tools that make noise, things like that. And then we also have language, which is obvious. Language includes writing, reading, and then math, which again, sort of self-explanatory, but it's a very, we teach math in a very concrete way. So many of the early math materials are not just a paper and a pencil, it's things like the number rods where the child counts the rod and physically can see what the number looks like. So that's just a quick overview.
Hey, I'm Nicole Delger, and I'm the mom to June and Roxy. June is 5, Roxy is 4, and they are in the Magnolia classroom. So we pick them up each day at 3, and whenever we pick them up is, I think, when I'm really reminded why I love the Montessori method so much and why it's such a wonderful classroom, because, you know, simply put, their cups are full. Yeah, they're so happy leaving school. And I've, you know, had other childcare options that we've done as they were getting bigger, whether it was a nanny or having, you know, them at a PDO or with other, you know, playing at a friend's house, all those different things that you do to survive, you know, 0 to 3. But whenever you would pick up the child, you know, they're so tired. They're so like, I need mom, you know, I need all of your attention, and it's always fun to feel important. But at the end of the day, you sometimes felt like you lose as much time having them away because you're having to do so much to kind of like pick them back up and revive them. So I think that's where the Montessori method for us is so apparent, is when we get them at the end of each school day and they're smiling so big. You can tell that they felt like they had autonomy over their day. You can tell that they're proud of the work that they did that day. They want to tell you about it. And that lift that you see kind of carries into your home life, and you're starting to see them do more and more amazing skills around the house and wanting to help me with laundry and chores. And, you know, I've always known that the Montessori method was really great, and but I don't necessarily wouldn't say that I was the kind of person of, my child will have this kind of education. You know, I was just thinking, this is a great school with a great reputation. It's really conveniently located. But now that they're in it and I see it, it's like a kind of become a convert of really trying to tell my friends, you should really consider this for your child. It's been so amazing in our home. And, you know, the other thing that I'll add, and I kind of joke about when I talk about it with friends, is, you know, I view myself as kind of a quirky person. I'm, you know, weird about, you know, sugar or screen time, and I can kind of laugh about that. And, you know, all the parents that I meet are, you know, have their own things that they really value, or their own things that I would say that they're a bit quirky about. But at the end of the day, when I see all the children and I meet all the children in the classroom, they're so bright and they're so independent and they're their own people, so separate from their parents. And that's where, again, I think you see the Montessori method really coming to life. Like, oh my gosh, these kids are so bright and so lovely to be around. And I can really tell that their day-to-day at school is a part of that. And so, yeah, as you're considering, you know, you don't have the benefit of a tour where you're kind of getting to see like, who am I going to be around? What are these other parents going to be like? But I'd actually say, don't worry about the other people that are there that day. The proof is with the children who are just so happy. And so I just can't say enough wonderful things. And I will definitely end with, this year obviously is so challenging, and I have felt so much dedication from the teachers, a commitment to staying open, a commitment to staying safe, a commitment to informing us of what's going on within the community so that all the parents can, you know, help, you know, keep each other safe and keep each other healthy. And that I'm also wildly grateful for. So best of luck as you're finding the right decision for your child, but know that Montessori East is an awesome choice that you definitely won't be disappointed with.
All right. So thank you guys so much. Brooks is going to share a little bit about the bigger, broader vision. You've heard from our staff, who we just obviously love. We love each other. But Brooks is going to share about Montessori in general and where it comes from and why it's important. So take the floor, Brooks.
Okay, Alice, do you want to pin me? Would that make it easier for people? So I just want to start with a teensy bit of history. So Montessori is over 100 years old. So the Montessori method of teaching and of learning has been around longer than conventional education. So all our anecdotal research and our data is steeped in history, and it's steeped in doing what is right and what is functional for years and years. There have obviously been changes to the method, but the core components are the same as they were when they were developed in the early 1900s by Dr. Maria Montessori. She was the first female physician in Italy. She was a psychologist and a medical physician as well. She founded an organization called the Association Montessori International, which is the cohort or the organization, which is an international organization that has trained the majority of our teachers at school. And then we'll go into a little more detail about what that means in the Q&A. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the main pillars of Montessori. So there are three main pillars of what you want to look for in any Montessori school and what you want to understand too when you're kind of learning about Montessori, and they are observation. And what we mean by observation is that we as teachers are also scientists, and to be able to intervene appropriately in a child's learning, we must first observe. So we're observing for concentration. And so you can also say that concentration is a pillar of Montessori, and that we allow children space and time to learn how to concentrate. We're offering materials that are just the right amount of challenge and the children with just the right amount of competency, so that when put together, the children are able to concentrate. So what Nicole was just talking about in the video, her children are not coming home to her overly exhausted. It's because concentration and the space that we allow it, concentration is actually restful. It actually gives the children energy, not spastic energy like you would see maybe at a birthday party or at a play date, but energy that is in fact grounding. Another pillar of Montessori is our mixed age groups. So our toddler classroom is with 1 and 2 year olds. Our primary classrooms are with 3, 4, 5, and 6 year olds. And our elementary classroom is with 6 to 12 year olds. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 year olds all working together. And this creates space for collaboration, for practice, for mastery learned through practice, and for developing authentic relationships among the children, so that they become less dependent on the adult and more dependent on each other to grow. So just like you have friends that aren't, it's like I'm 39 and I have friends that are not just 39. I have friends in their 40s, I have friends in their younger 30s, and I have friends in their 20s, thanks to working at Montessori East. So that's being a human in the world. So we give that opportunity to children to develop relationships based on shared interests and shared experience, not just on being the same number. And then the last pillar is that it is a child-centered individualistic education. So the Montessori curriculum is linear. It has a beginning and it has an end, but where everyone falls on that and that curriculum is individualized. So me, Brooks, I might be in one space in math and another area in language and a different space in practical life. And that's where I'm being plotted on this linear curriculum, but my friends are going to be in different points. And because we're not all doing the same things at the exact same time, I'm able to follow my own curriculum, follow it as I'm developing, and I'm not being forced to learn things too soon, and I'm not being forced to delay my learning in any way because my curriculum is individualized to my development. And so where it's really individualistic, it actually creates space to have a lot of interconnectedness with other children and the materials, and an interdependence in the classroom. So the classroom is like a tiny society where everyone has a role and everyone has things that they must do to make the society function. And because we're able to all follow our individual needs, we're able to create space for that interconnectedness so that the society could actually work. So Montessori is, it is a way to teach children. It is a way for children, it is a type of school, but it's a lot more than that as well. It is a movement in peace education. So by choosing a Montessori school as parents, you're not just choosing a method that fits your personality, or you're not just choosing something that might get them into a good private school later, or might get them reading before their neighbors, but you're choosing to give your child foundational experience that will inform the type of adult that they're going to become. They're going to be able to prioritize connection with their fellow man, service to their fellow man, and learning through work and having real vocation. And if we think about society and what our society is going through, having vocation, having connection, and valuing service are really what we need to have a peaceful society. And so by choosing Montessori, you're possibly creating a greater chance for a peaceful future. And that's
Thank you so much. It's always good to hear that. So we're gonna do two things. We're gonna say that you have gotten the bulk of this experience. You are welcome to stay for the Q&A in all or in part. We are so glad you're here. There is a special treat. There's about 6 other families who've joined the 5 o'clock crew, and since it's 5:03, I'm gonna let them come into this Q&A because that way we don't have to do it twice. Also, the element.
So the first question I got was from Josh. He said that his son is currently in a Mom's Day Out program 2 days a week. And the question is, do you think going to school every day at 4 years old is a good thing? We both work from home, so we have the ability to be with him home some days. Just wanting to know recommendations on this.
Yeah, that's a really, really great question. And I'm really glad you asked. I think wanting to know the right amount of school for a child is a really healthy question. A lot of children choose school at this age because they need childcare, which is a perfectly fine thing to be choosing for. But it's also important to know what exactly is recommended by child development experts as far as school. So a nice sort of rule of thumb that Alice and I like to share at these tours is go by hours that match the age of your child. So when you're 3, a really great length of time to be at school during the day is about 3 hours. When you're 4, it's about 4 hours. And when you're 5, it's about 5 hours, and so on. So we really recommend that children attend school 5 days a week. We feel that it really creates a beautiful social cohesion for the classroom that they attend. When it's part and parcel, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, what we've observed is that the children have to kind of start over each week with learning kind of the social norms of the classroom, not entirely starting over, of course, but it doesn't sort of inform the same social experience as it does to be every 5 days, but they certainly don't need to be here all day for 5 days. So what we recommend to 3 and 4-year-old families or parents of children who are 3 or 4 who can, is to attend a half day, which is from about 8 to around 12:30, which is a really great option for those families.
Thank you. So some of the other questions were addressed in the chat.
Wonderful.
So I'll just
Great.
go on to the ones that were not.
Okay, perfect. Thank you to the people that answered those questions.
Yeah. One of the next questions is, how many elementary classes are there for each grade or age group? And do you find that most children stay for elementary or not?
Most children do not stay for elementary, which is partially due to the cost of elementary school and that they're not necessarily a long-term private school family. So we do have a lot of our families go to their local public school. There is one elementary classroom which has all grades in the classroom. So 1st grade through 6th grade is all in the same class, and all the ages are combined into one classroom. So right now we have 10 students in that classroom, and it can go up to 30 students. So right now we just have one elementary classroom that serves the entire span of 1st through 6th grade, which is called a SPAN class in Montessori. Some Montessori schools have 1st through 3rd grade or 4th through 6th grade. The Association Montessori International actually recommends that most classrooms be 1st through 6th grade, if at all possible. And then there's natural separations of the age groups organically with the children, with what types of materials they're working on and what level of kind of social activities that they're available to do given their age, but they're all combined together.
The next question is, my son goes to preschool now. How easy is the transition, and will you be able to help him make the transition smooth?
Yes. So the transition can be easy or it can be hard. It will depend on your child and your parenting and the preschool that the child is coming from. When it's easy, it's because the child is leaving a community that was healthy and that was normalized, where the child felt like he was nurtured and was able to grow. If the community was a little bit challenging for the child, or a little bit struggling in the way that it was nurturing to that age group, or it wasn't really a good fit, any transition to any type of community is going to be challenging, because the child is harboring some, trauma's too big of a word, but just some challenges, and there may be some trepidation with the concept of school at all. So that's sort of how you can gauge whether or not it will go smoothly. We've been open for 10 years, and we have children transfer from other preschools every single year. So it's something we've done hundreds of times. What can make the transition to our school easier for any child is visiting the campus over the weekend, playing on our playground, getting to know the teachers, which we offer, over Zoom and things like that these days. So that it's not the first time the child has ever been on campus is their first day of school. That really, really does help. And then for you to also be sure that this is the right place, and be excited that this is the right place in front of and with your child, so that they can share your assuredness.
The next question is, can you go over the difference between AMI and AMS, and what are the benefits that Montessori East provides?
Yeah, absolutely. So AMI is the Association Montessori International. AMS is the American Montessori Society. So AMS was started in the late 50s by a group of first-generation Montessorians, which means they were trained with Dr. Montessori. And they started the American Montessori Society because they wanted to have their own training cohort available in the United States. Dr. Montessori was European and spent most of her time in Europe and in Central Asia, so a little bit less time in the United States. And there's interesting history about why and all of that. But the American Montessori Society was developed so that Montessori could grow in the United States. But in the 1970s, the Association Montessori International was able to bring that kind of training over to the United States. So now the United States just has both that is available to adults who want to learn how to be Montessori teachers. There are differences. The Association Montessori International is extremely consistent. So every single AMI training across the globe is pretty much identical. They're all the same length. They're all the same structure. All the trainers have PhDs or PhD level criteria to become Montessori adult teachers. So that consistency is really reliable. And that's why I, as an education director, prefer that, because that reliability creates a lot of consistency across the campus. AMS offers extremely beautiful trainings as well, but not all of them are the same. So there's a lot more variability as far as how long they are, how they're structured, what type of experience the trainers have actually had. So there's just a little bit more varying. So you as the student would have to do more research to know kind of what type of training you were actually getting. And there's a little bit, there's a lot more variety as far as the details of the trainings themselves. But there are several AMS offerings that are identical to AMI. There's just lots of other ones that aren't. So there's just more options out there. But it is easier to get an AMS training degree, and it is faster and cheaper. So it is very attractive to a lot of teachers, and for all good reasons.
The next question is, what type of projects do parents get involved in for their volunteer hours? And how does that work in terms of the breakdown between each parent was also part of the question.
That's a great question. So we require 20 hours of volunteer time for each family. So it doesn't have to be dad does 10, mom does 10. It's just that, you know, the Gerber Brown family has 20 hours of volunteer time. And there's a variety of ways that you can fill that time. The first and simplest way, if you don't have time to do volunteering, is to pay out of it. So you can choose to have a non-volunteering fee if you just don't have the time to volunteer, and that's totally acceptable. Lots of families choose that option, especially in COVID, because there's not as many options. In a non-COVID year, we do a lot of party planning. We do a lot of events. So there's lots of opportunities to volunteer through that. We do a lot of gardening every year. So there's other opportunities there. You can volunteer to work in the garden, or you can volunteer to offer the school plants for our garden. We have a yearbook that some parents like to help out with. So there's lots of different opportunities to volunteer. And if you don't get to all your volunteer hours, we keep track of them, and so do the room parents. They just roll over into the next year. So it's not any type of crisis that you would end up in.
Next question. What is the ratio for primary classrooms? Are you keeping cohorts separate for COVID? And what other protocols for health and safety should we be aware of?
Yeah, we have many, many, many protocols for health and safety. And what we'll do, if you would like more details on the specific protocols, we'll send you our COVID handbook, which is extremely long and detailed and goes through all the different things that we're doing. We were keeping cohorts separate until the end of the year, but now all of our cohorts have combined. So our classrooms are back to the standard ratios. There's 24 students in each classroom with 2 teachers, 1 trained teacher and 1 assistant teacher.
The next question is, once we apply, when will we be made aware that our child is accepted? What are the determining factors to acceptance? And is there still availability for primary 2021 to 2022 school year?
Yes.
So next year.
Yes, there are many spots still available. You will find out if you are admitted on or before April 1st. And the criteria for accepting families is long and detailed, but it's things like the answers to your application, when you applied, how current is your application, current, or were you deferred? And then demographic things like making sure that the classrooms are balanced. So not too many boys in one class, not too many girls in another class. So little details like that. Those are all taken into account.
And then 2 more questions. So if anybody has any more, please throw them in the chat. For students who don't stay for elementary school, do most leave for kindergarten or for first grade?
It's a mix. It's about 50-50. And we'd like it to be 100% stay for kindergarten, because that's what we think is best for our school and best for the children. But because several schools do the lottery, some parents feel like their child has to leave at kindergarten in order to get a spot in a lottery school, which is actually not always the case. But it's about 50-50 stay and 50% leave.
Okay, we have a few more that just popped in. So what is the official first day of school? Or is there a calendar we can reference online? Is the calendar set for next year? That kind of stuff.
The calendar is in the process of being finalized for next year. The first day of school will be I think it's the third week of August, that Monday of the third week of August, most likely will be the first day of school. Was there a third part to that question?
Is it
No.
available?
Is it available online? Which, yes.
The calendar, not quite yet, but soon.
What percentage of students do not live in East Nashville?
That's a better Alice question. A very small percent.
I don't know the percent, but I know that far and away the majority live in East Nashville. But every year we have at least 5 families driving from 10 to 15 to 20 miles away. So more so in elementary, because we're harder, elementary Montessori program is harder to find. So people come from further, but you will see a lot of people walking.
Yes, that's very true.
And then the last question in the chat, again, if anybody has any final ones, throw them in. This is your last chance. What do parents say about the transition from elementary to middle school after Montessori? Do many transition to public school?
About half of our students have transitioned to public, half have transitioned to private. And as far as we know, all the transitions have gone very well. There haven't been very many because our elementary classroom is relatively young. But of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that I can think of offhand, all have gone very smoothly. Montessori is preparing children for life, and life includes transitions from one thing to another thing, whether it's home to college, Montessori school to conventional school, moving from Nashville to Los Angeles. Montessori is preparing the children for adaptability. So they're helping them become adaptable. So the longer you're in Montessori, the better that transition will be.
Next question. Do the children work on any other languages other than English?
In our elementary classroom, we have a mirage of Spanish language materials that the children have access to. When we have native speakers of any language on our campus, in our staff, we utilize them to teach language through the children. But we firmly believe that it should be a native speaker to guide the second language learning. So it just depends on when we have that available to offer.
And then the final question again.
Potentially
the final question. What about financial aid? Can you give a little overview about that?
Yeah, so we do offer financial aid. This year we launched our Acorn Scholarship, which is specifically for Montessori families of color, but we also offer financial aid outside of that as well. And there's more information about our financial aid packet and how the whole process works in some of our literature. And if whoever asked this question wants to get in touch with me or Alice, we can send over those materials.
We also take childcare certificates from the state of Tennessee.
A lot more people are eligible for those because of COVID, so check that out.
And that's a program that we've been part of in the past with only 1 student at a time here and there participating. But this year we're going to have at least 5, possibly more, because of essential workers, like Brooke said.
I think that's it. Famous last words, but I think that is it in terms of the questions. If anybody else has any, you can always throw it in the chat and we can just respond to it via chat or whatever. But thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much, Sophie. So what we're going to do next is, we said we had a treat for you, and that is true. However, it's 8 minutes long, and some of you just joined. So what I'm going to do is share that in my follow-up, so that you can view it on your own.
Great idea.
But it's the voices of the children at our school last year, and it was a special thing we recorded, and I think you'll enjoy it, but I will share it in the follow-up. So officially, the 4 o'clock group, thank you so much for coming. We hope that it answered your questions. We hope that you kind of enjoyed yourselves as much as you're able to enjoy a Zoom. And I really wish you were here. Honestly, it's a different kind of energy sitting in my office alone than when we have this event and I get to meet all of you in person. But Brooks, do you have any closing remarks as the 4 o'clock folks are goodbye and the small 5 o'clock crew is saying?
Right. Well, I'll just echo what Alice said. This is much more fun when you're in the room, but I do really appreciate your time. And I hope this wasn't too tricky for you to be stuck on a computer at this hour. And if any questions from tonight pop up, or you just need a little bit more information, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or Alice. We're here for you.
Absolutely.
Hi, I'm Krista, and my husband and I have 3 kids at Montessori East. We have an 8-year-old boy and 2 girls, 5 and 4. And it has been, hands down, one of the best decisions that we have ever made for our family, for our kids, for their education, for their emotional state, for their development, as far as their independence and their learning and their self-esteem. It's been incredible on all fronts. We had our son in an amazing school, and his spark had just kind of gone out for learning. He would come home and just want to check out, and now he comes home, he wants to play outside, he wants to get his hands dirty, he wants to build things constantly and make music, and his creativity's just gone through the roof. He loves learning, and I feel like I got my son back. I love Miss Victoria. I love his class, the one-on-one aspect, the way that they interact. They're so close. And then my daughters, they have developed this confidence in them. And yes, the love for learning is there. They come home and they want to practice their letters, and they love to learn how to, they're like, we can't wait to learn how to read. All of it has been so beneficial. But inside of a global pandemic where the whole world is shut down, they are thriving emotionally. They are thriving academically. I am so impressed by the way that Montessori East has handled everything. We've had no problems because of the way that as a community, the parents and we all work together, and we're working to actually navigate this crazy world that we live in. And they have done it so well that our kids will look back and not know that anything had shifted, not really understand that anything had gone on, because they're thriving. They're thriving in every area of their life. So I can't recommend Montessori East enough.
Our son Archie is in his 3rd year at Montessori East. He is part of the Sunflower community, little friend group. Some of the reasons, or one of the big reasons that we chose Montessori was outdoor, connection with outdoor.
Connection with outdoors, the woods. And he loves being out there. We hear every day about some cool thing that they found outside or in the woods. We were also really impressed by how calm the classroom was. He was coming from a preschool that was very hectic, and he did not thrive in that environment. And so when we visited the school and saw just how quiet, how all the children were focused on their different tasks or work, and we have really seen our child thrive in that environment.
Now that he's been there 3 years, you know, we've always really enjoyed the mixed age group that the environment that he's been in, and being able, you know, when he started, he was one of the youngest kids, and now he's the oldest, I think, in his class, now in his 3rd year, and just having being a part of that, whether it's almost like a mentorship, or like, you know, so.
And he's really gained confidence through that process too, and is now, even though it's not really his personality, he's kind of a shy kid, he is in a leadership role and is really confident in that, which is really cool to see. And then just the learning, you know, what they learn conceptually is so different than what I remember learning at that age. I mean, having your 5-year-old talk to you about trinomial cubes and all these interesting, you know, math concepts is just mind-blowing. And
the way he looks at things, I feel like is very, it's different. And also the community, the overall community is, I think it's a really special place, and I'm really, I have a lot of gratitude, especially over this last year, for having that support.
Wolf, Charlie, Archie, Waxy, Shakespeare, Sterling, Anya, Reed, Camille, Kylan, Janet, Riley, Taryn. My name's Olivia, Ava, 3/4, 3.5. 5. I mean 6. 4 3/4. 3. 4. 5.5. 4. My birthday just started. 5.5. 5, and I'm 5.5 because I'm about to turn 6. Playing outside. Lunchtime. Everything. Playing and working. I love my brother. How I get to learn about new stuff. Working. To do the reading chair. To go outside on the playground. I get to write and draw and read. Working. Working? Numbers and math. My favorite thing is doing work. Sharing kindness. Doing a matching game. The art table. Flag work. The color tablets. The trinomial cubes. The broad stair. And number labs. Puzzle working. Baking. Sewing. 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 I don't know. Golden bead. A dipping tower. Reading. Math. Pink tower. Banana list. I think I like the most is melon sets. Melon sets. Melon sets. Melon sets. Melon sets. Subtraction strip board. Hazelnut. Doing sandpaper letters. Writing. Doing the sandpaper letters. Writing. Button work. Doing the tennis boards. The stamp game. My favorite work is writing books. That it would always be a half day. I wish we played inside in rainy days. Without any teachers and stuff. It didn't take so long for lunchtime. We could go outside 2 times. I wish it was just how you learn new stuff that you want to play with. If you would have a plug or something, and it will plug into your body so you could think about things that you haven't done before. I wish we had a guitar in our room. Nothing. That my parents could be here all day. A princess. A police. A policeman. A policeman. A police officer. Police. Engineer. A clown. A singer. Falconer. A drummer and a helper. A veterinarian. The artist. A doctor. A doctor. A doctor. A doctor. Scientist. I want to be a scientist. Scientist. I want to be a scientist. Going out of space. A vet for animals. A cheerleader. A builder. and a train conductor. Wicked. A dance teacher. I want to be a what? A farmer. I would be a farmer. A bird vet. A boy. Wanted to be my brother's friend. Yeah, Mom. I want to be like my dad. They are funny. They sing little sounds. They give us lessons. That they teach lessons. They help me a lot. They give me lessons. Them give me lessons. That they give a lesson. She teaches us a lot. That she teach me a lot. Learning children what to do and them what I want to learn them. That's what I'll learn them later. That I'm getting lessons. Lesson. Did I like when she teaches me lessons? Well, I don't really know. It's kind of hard to explain, but I really like how they give me choices for things to work on, and then when I really want to do something else, that's what I'm kind of thinking of. Well, I like Miss Billy better. Teachers. And because they're kind, and one of them is my mom's. They be nice to me. I like that they're kind. They're nice to me. That they're so kind. I love them. They love me.